Yo, what's going on, guys? Jay here, and I'm back for the first time in a little while, and we are, as you may have guessed from the thumbnail, talking about the death of Slim Shady, Coup de Gras, the latest release from a legendary hip hop MC, Eminem. And as you can tell by my outfit, this album was pretty fucking bananas. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just for some background on Eminem, obviously, Detroit MC blew up in the late 90s off of his crude humor and his catchy songs and his innate ability for rapping, one of the best lyricists of all time. In my personal experience with him, I have a lot of respect for the rapper. I enjoyed his first couple of projects a lot, and there's some all-time greats. The Eminem Show, I think, is his best album. His recent work, everything since, oh man, the Marshall Mathers LP, to be honest, is pretty up in the air. It's pretty up for debate. This album really changed the discourse. He dropped some garbage with Kamikaze and with Revival. Then Music to Be Murdered By and the B-sides were a step up, but they weren't anything crazy. Now this album, Coup de Gras, The Death of Some Shady, I've been sitting with personally for a while because it's a very confusing album. But again, before we get into that, my relationship with Slim, like I said, I always respect him, was never the biggest fan. I'm also a very big Eminem critic. I think he could be very corny at times, and we will be talking about that. But today, we will not be talking as much about the musicology that Eminem brings to this album as much as we will the narrative, the discourse. And as he tweeted out before the release of the album, you have to listen to it in order. This is a concept album. I don't even know where I want to start with this quite yet, to be honest, because there's so much to be said about this album. Let's just start with the first track, guys. I'm going to take you on a track-by-track basis. I have some pretty detailed notes that I will be providing for you. So, yeah, let's get right into it, guys. And actually, before we get right into it, be sure to follow the IG at talking.hiphop. My personal IG, if you're interested, jason.michelanda. Or actually, there's no dot, just Jason Michelanda. And as of you guys who are fans may know, I'm the host of the Talking Hip Hop Show, now out weekly every Wednesday on Spotify. That is my new podcast. Be sure to tap in. Go follow me on Spotify. But yeah, let's get right into it. There's a lot of social commentary on this album, but with the first track, Renaissance, it kicks off with a hard and intense instrumental with some haunting background vocals. This was produced by Eminem and Luis Rito. Eminem does a lot of the production on this album, and it shows because some of it is very good, and a lot of it's tailored to him, but it's above average Eminem production for the most part, and this is a solid beat to kick us off on the intro, Renaissance. This track isn't too narrative heavy, it really just sets the stage where we have Eminem commenting on the fast food music industry that we are currently living in, where you see artists blow up and their career is dead before it even starts, and how so many hip-hop fans are too busy waiting for the next big thing that they can't enjoy the music that is already out. He also speaks on how many artists' legacies and the art catalog they have released aren't truly appreciated until after they have passed away and cannot create anymore. So this commentary is not very related into the album, but he does, again, start off with a bang, dropping not controversial lyrics, but a lot of name dropping, which could be misconstrued with controversy, and of course, a great way to make headlines, rapping the stanza. Kendrick's album was cool, but it didn't have any bangers. Wayne's album or Ye's, I couldn't tell you which one was lamer. Joyner's album was corny. Shady's new shit is way worse. Everything is either too tame or there's too much anger. I didn't like the beat, so I hated Might Delete Later. You nerdy picks would find something wrong with 36 Chambers. Now, of course, this is not Shady targeting Cole, targeting Kendrick, targeting Wayne, targeting Ye, or Joyner. He is, like he will do a lot throughout this album, a lot. Speak from the perspective of the general public, speak from the perspective of a fan, of a hater. Eminem is very much satirical throughout this album. He is very much satirizing a lot of things, and when he is saying that Kendrick's album was lame and it didn't have any bangers, he is speaking from the perspective of someone like me, of someone like you maybe, of a hip-hop fan who is constantly picking out flaws in music, who is not enjoying the new music we are getting because you are waiting for the next big thing. When he says that you nerdy pricks would find something wrong with the 36 Chambers, of course, legendary album from the Wu-Tang Clan, that is him affirming that's his view, that he enjoys all these albums and artists that he's talking about and not discrediting them, but speaking about how they are unfairly discredited. So the next song, Habits, features singer White Gold, and it kicks off with a little skit, a little vocal introduction type of thing, an audio recording. I'm going to call these skits, even though they're not separate tracks on the album, they're still skits in my mind, where we have essentially Marshall Mathers, Eminem, trying to kill Slim Shady. And as I will note throughout the rest of the album at other points, it is important to note that Shady and Eminem are the same person. They inhabit the same body. Because again, this is a concept album, so it is not too far-fetched to imagine that maybe in this Slim Shady is a different character. But no, this whole conflict is internal. It takes place within one person. But as you know, Eminem is not capable of killing Shady. He escapes. That's kind of where a majority of this album, a good half of it, comes in with Shady on the loose. And here we see this is a track where he is grappling between the two personas. White Gold sings a chorus from Eminem / Shady's perspective, comparing Shady's behaviors to be so outlandish and say such offensive and crude things to an addiction. He sings, "I got an addiction, man." And this addiction is to being edgy and offensive and to pissing people off. Even Eminem himself dropping an important bar in this song, like, "Sentences I'm penning are just to toy with you, it's a joy to do," talking about how he likes pissing people off again. He also, throughout this song, reminisces on how much attention he used to get from making people angry and going against the general public back in the day. He reminisces upon it, and also later on in the track compares this addiction to an opioid addiction. Like, he can't get enough of it. Now, of course, since it's Eminem, we do have corny verses throughout the record. I'm not going to sit here and pick apart every one, but a slew of bars, which is Eminem, again, I think in this satirical persona, mom shaming, dad shaming, fat shaming, mansplaining, bleh, crybabies attack Shady, wah, mad because they can't tame me, where this kind of gets us rolling into the main thesis of the album, or at least from Shady's perspective while he is on the loose, that he is going to piss everyone off and say so much outlandish shit that it should get him canceled, and he is happy to make all these crybabies upset. That is right, the thesis of this album. That is what Shady is out here to do. But this brings us into a very important question. Is Eminem, and I don't mean like in the context of the album where we have Eminem and Slim Shady, I mean Marshall Mathers while crafting this album, is he intentionally being an annoying cornball when he has bars like this, when he has a whole song dedicated to making fun of a paraplegic deceased person, which we'll talk about later, when he goes in on the LGBTQ, when he goes in on transgender people and fat people? Is Shady actually, or is Marshall Mathers, I should say, actually trying to piss people off? I think no. Again, I've been bringing up satire, and I think this is important where we talk about it. As we know, like, again, Marshall Mathers, the human, is a liberal person. He has been sober for a long time, which doesn't have anything to do with this except for the fact that Shady was very much drugged up, alcoholic. And you'll see he'll have bars here and there about being high and about being drunk, which is how you know he's in his shady persona. But it also sets up the idea that we have the character Slim Shady and the character Eminem within this album. But right now, I'm talking about Marshall Mathers himself. I don't know if you guys could hear the thunder going off right now. It is about to fucking pour, ladies and gentlemen. And real quick, I'll just hit you guys with the definition of satire. I'm just going to read it off my nose for you guys so it's nice and fluent. The use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary policies and other topical issues. Now, in my opinion, does Marshall Mathers hate Christopher Reeves and hate Caitlyn Jenner and all this stuff we'll talk about later? Does he hate transgender people and all these other sensitive topics? And going back to, he mentions Caitlyn Jenner a lot here. This, again, I think is him playing into the idea that he's satirizing Shady. That is, and this is my interpretation of the album. This is what I think. You could disagree. Let me know in the comments what you think he's doing. But I think this album, to a degree, is satirizing the idea of Slim Shady in 2024, right? He's letting Slim Shady run loose, and it's a it's actually a double benefactor, right? Because on the one hand, I think Marshall Mathers, the person, is again satirizing this idea, and that's why he kills Slim Shady later on in the album. Surprise, surprise. It's not like the title spoiled it. So he is appeasing and pleasing his fans who have been wanting the old Shady and are so happy. All the Gen Xers and all these old heads who are happy to hear Slim Shady being extremely sexist again on all that stuff. And if you're one of those people, if that's what you're into, it's fine. I'm not judging, right? I'm not here to judge. I'm just here giving my breakdown of the album. But he appeases that group of people while also being like, some of these takes you guys have are kind of silly, kind of stupid. And the issue is satire is a hard line to cross. Sometimes you really can't tell if he's being satirical. But on the single Houdini, when he mentions wanting to hit an 8-year-old in the face with a participation trophy. Now again, do we think Marshall Mathers, the person, is someone who is really like against participation trophy? He's like, yeah, like that shit's really messing up society, you know? Because we know there are people who are out there like that. But do you think it's more likely that he's one of those people, or that he is making fun of people who believe that participation trophies are making society soft? And again, I think as I take you through my analysis of the album, and as you follow the narrative that other people may also be creating in line that may be in line with mine, there are of course other takeaways you could have from this album, but I think that is what Eminem is going for here. Now, a great reference I'm going to put you guys onto, someone who did a way better job analyzing and pointing out some of the stuff I'm going to point out, some different things that I'm going to point out as well. Professor Sky's Record Reviews, one of the best hip-hop media outlets on YouTube. This guy does a great job of analytically breaking down albums. And he used South Park as a frame of reference for this album, or for Eminem in this album, I should say, this album, whatever. He compares it to an episode of South Park. And you see why it makes sense, because South Park is also, it's very similar, right? It attacks all sides. It doesn't just go for one type of people, one group of people, one ideology, right? South Park makes fun of everyone. It points out all these hypocrisies in society. But there are a group of people who enjoy it because there's a lot of crude and discriminatory humor in it. And then not everyone realizes that the crude and discriminatory humor at points is satirical and supposed to satire people like Cartman who hate Jewish people in the show. It's not confirming these beliefs or agreeing with them. The creators of the show don't hate Jewish people. It is satirizing that idea. And that is what Eminem is doing here. He is, to a degree, satirizing people who are essentially unwilling, or not necessarily unwilling to adapt, but who are stoutly against progress in social progress in this country in a lot of different areas. And again, that's neither here nor there whether your personal beliefs line up with Eminem's or what I'm saying or anything like that. I'm not here to judge, right? I'm a big believer in live and let live. And Eminem is calling out people who don't believe in live and let live. But even if you disagree with that type of statement or thing that I abide by, where I think people should just be themselves. And yeah, with a lot of stuff, it's a lot deeper intricacies, but we're not talking about that. But he is essentially criticizing people who are out yelling at the clouds, right? Who are saying this is bad and this is bad and people like this are bad and they should be stopped, or we can't have these type of people in our society. He is satirizing that is what a subsection of our culture has come to. And that's why, again, another initial issue I had with this album. Why does Eminem why does he want to get canceled, right? We're in 2024. The idea of cancel culture is mostly outdated, right? Eminem's audience isn't going to cancel him. Eminem, people like me who are not Eminem fans for the most part, but casual hip-hop fans, aren't going to cancel him. The only person he would think he really has to worry about is mainstream media, which has tried to cancel him 6 years ago and hasn't. So, him getting canceled and him harping on this fact so much, again, is satirical. Because again, when I think about cancel culture, the people who talk about cancel culture the most aren't the people who cancel people. Because again, I don't even think that's a real thing in 2024. But it is the people who are afraid of it, the people who are not with who are not with progression. And it's okay to not be with all that. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. But again, that is who I think he is criticizing here. But back to it. So throughout this song, which we were talking about habits, there's a lot of lowbrow criticism of transgendered people and of pronouns throughout this song. But in my opinion, there's also a lot of proof of satire in this song, where we have bars where Eminem is rapping, and again, sidebar, sometimes when Eminem is rapping a Slim Shady, there are vocal effects, or he raps more in his Slim Shady alter ego voice. And when Eminem is rapping as Eminem, it's in his, you could tell who is rapping based upon the voices for the most part. It gets a little iffy at times, but for the most part, you can. And in this song, following the criticism of transgendered people and victim culture in America, Eminem raps in his regular voice. Little white middle-aged upper middle class with a glass of wine and a cigarette. Bitch, get off the internet, you haven't even fed your kids yet. Now on the one hand, this is M going for everyone like we knew he would. But on the other hand, I think this is the group of people he is satirizing. White, middle-aged, upper middle-class people who don't get off the internet, who are out online chirping at, you guys know what I'm talking about, who are out there saying all negative stuff about marginalized groups of people online, the racist people, the sexist people, the misogynists. This group of people is who Slim is satirizing. And I think that this right here, that bar is kind of like proof of it, especially because it follows all this long-winded transgender pronoun, victim culture, all this stuff Slim's going in on. Then he's like, or M, I should say. I gotta be better about that because this is Eminem rapping here, not Slim Shady. But this is not Eminem trying to be offensive. It is him addressing the group of people he is satirizing and is rapping from their perspective when he says stuff, again, that is transphobic throughout that verse. And everything he was rapping that was negative in that song prior to that was in the Slim Shady alter ego. Again, he switches back to his regular voice to deliver that bar. Also in the Eminem voice, more proof of satire, we get bars like, and if men want to wear lipstick and women's underwear, who cares? Their shit is their business, now bear witness. Beware bitches, the Blair Witch on you scared bitches. Where again, Eminem is stating his own personal values. Who cares? Other people's business is their business. Again, something I agree with. And then he brings up the Blair Witch, which if any of you guys seen that movie, it is where a couple of college kids go after chasing this thing, this ghost that they don't know if it exists, and it ends up terrorizing them and killing them now. And he says that when he compares himself to the Blair Witch, I think it is kind of himself saying that this group of people he is satirizing, it's not that they don't know that he exists, because obviously they do, but in that movie, they don't know, right? They don't know that if the Blair Witch is real or not. The point is, these people don't realize that they are at the actual targets of his criticism. Also, back to the South Park point, he has bars saying, would this rhyme be okay if South Park did it? Would it make you less angry if Cartman spit it? Moving on to the track, Trouble. This is the official return of Slim Shady, where he announces his proclamations to get Eminem canceled. That is his goal. He wants Eminem canceled, done for. And on this song, we get a great hypnotic and bouncy instrumental produced by Dem Joints and Fred Wreck. And Slim is going for everyone here. He starts off the track rapping, fuck blind people and deaf people suck. This is obviously Slim Shady trying to get Eminem canceled. We know Eminem, the person, the character, does not hate blind people and deaf people, but Slim Shady is at work doing his thing, trying to get M canceled. Within these bars, M is going back and forth between the two personas, saying, oh, the big bad rapper got his feelings hurt, which is Slim. Let me go, you bitch. Or what, genius, huh? You gonna cancel me? Gen Z me, bro? Little pussy was wrong, thought was dreaming, huh? When are you gonna realize we need each other? Which is a point that Slim Shady brings up throughout this album, that M's success is because of him. And maybe that's why it's so hard for Eminem to let Slim Shady go. This song has a short runtime, but it does establish the Sam Raimi, Spider-Man 1, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe type of situation we have going on here, where one character is Norman Oswald and is also the Green Goblin. Eminem is both Marshall Mathers and Slim Shady, and he is at war with himself, good and evil. Now we're moving on to one of the worst tracks of the album, Brand New Dance. This song was initially intended to be on Encore, which came out in 2004. And this is not a hard track to talk about. It's just like, I don't like this. This is a bit OD for me. Not only is like the chorus annoying, I'm not a big fan of the beat, But this track is pretty much tormenting former Superman actor Christopher Reeves, who was paralyzed in a horse riding accident, and he is a frequent target of Eminem's jokes on this album. He is brought up a lot. Also, he is in the past, and this whole song is literally, it's a rework of a 2004 song, and it is just Slim Shady torching this guy, torching paraplegic, quadriplegic, and disabled people. And, you know, the rhymes are clever. There's a good punchline or two here, but it's kind of an icky song, in my opinion. Leaves a not great taste in my mouth, because also, again, I don't like the chorus. I don't think it's catchy either. And this song was not on Encore because Christopher Reeves died that same year. And even in this song, Slim Shady raps suggesting that Christopher Reeves died that year just to spite Eminem. And yeah, the brand new dance that Slim Shady is referring to, it becomes pretty obvious, is breaking your legs and becoming paralyzed. And you could tell that based on bars like, just make sure you videotape it because you could only do it once. And he even imitates Christopher Reeves on the outro, saying that he's going to kick Eminem's ass once he gets out of the wheelchair. And yeah, again, this song has a groove to it. I don't think there's anything wrong with liking this song. But yeah, it's just a track tormenting this one guy who's dead. And it's obviously done in jest. It's like Slim Shady pushing the envelope as much as he could. That's kind of the point of this album, to overdo Slim Shady, to take Slim Shady too far, so Eminem could get canceled, right? But again, there are the people who think that that is just the point of the album, but I think the point of the album is that Slim Shady's like stupid. Does that make sense? Like, Slim Shady's pushing it too far, you know, pushing cancel culture, and there's going to be a subjected group of people who thinks that's just the point of the album. But I think that, and you could tell based on other bars we're going to point out here, some I already have, like Eminem saying, who cares, people's business is people's business if they want to wear women's lipstick and underwear. Bars like that reaffirm my theory that Eminem is satirizing the people who do think it's a great thing that Slim Shady's pushing the limits. I think the point of the album is Slim Shady is stupid, and he's kind of an asshole. So we move on to the track Evil, where we get a really well-sung chorus from Eminem. I'll give some props to him on this album. He has a lot of very well-sung choruses, not something I would say about him a whole lot. And yeah, he has some very vivid lyricism and gruesome bars about getting violent with people and his desire to torture and kill people. Exactly what you'd expect from Slim on this album, so great so far. And going forward, I'm going to try not to bring up every single cancelable offense Eminem has on this album, because obviously the point of this album is to be raunchy, over the top, in your face, and to be directly crude to marginalized groups of people at points. So I'm not going to harp on it every time Slim Shady says he's going to kill a dog or dead names Caitlyn Jenner, right? There's no point in doing that. We'd be here all day. And honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care. Art is art. Say what you want. Freedom of speech, all that, right? It may not be the right thing to do or the appropriate thing to do to say crude things about people, but I'm not, you do you. Live and let live. But essentially, this track is our reintroduction to Slim Shady, right? This is like, all right, here's Slim Shady in 2024. I know we had Brand New Dance, which was kind of an introduction, but I feel like this is the real good get to know him type of situation. Eminem also establishes on this track how he uses Slim Shady as a scapegoat, essentially, the scapegoat Shady, which I will later on reference, and you could tell that from bars like, when it's sink or swim, I just say it's not me, it's him. There's a demon deep within, and just to get under your skin, I would like you to meet my twin. This track introduces two important ideas, which one of them just being the character of Slim Shady fully let loose and doing his thing, and the other being scapegoat Shady, which I already discussed. The idea that Eminem uses Slim Shady as a crutch, or not a crutch, but an excuse to say, a justification to say fucked up things that makes it make sense. Well, oh, it's just my alter ego for the music. We get more proof of satire from M on this song, saying things like, do not tell me what I can't say, that's gay, and not the good kind of gay either, where two men fucking each other and hate beaver. And the reason why this is proof of satire, because this bar implies that, like, actual homosexuality is the good kind of gay, which the other type of gay is using it as a petty insult to someone else. So he is implying here that that is the bad type of gay. The bad type of gay is when your friend doesn't want to hang out. The bad type of gay is when you don't want to do the homework the teacher assigned you. The good type of gay is homosexuality. Again, this is proof of the satire. We also got bars about M being drunk here off his third shot at Johnny Walker, which again is Slim Shady because as we know, Eminem is sober and Slim Shady is an alcoholic. And again, we get some more defiant Slim Shady bars. And again, there's a couple of necrophilia mentions, which is disgusting, obviously, but they do make for some good bars from Shady when he says stuff like, call this sex ed with a splash of necrophilia, because when I say I'm the evilest, I'm fucking dead ass. And I just think it's funny because, like, you know, I'm from New York. Everyone says dead ass. Dead ass is a pretty popular saying when you're being serious about something, when you're being dead ass. So, you know, when he's fucking dead ass, like, hey. It's funny. Now we move on to the All You Got skit, which is pretty much just another back forth between Eminem and Slim Shady, where Slim Shady is reaffirming that Eminem needs him. He needs him to be successful. Eminem, you are nothing without Slim Shady. That's all this skit is reaffirming. Moving on to Lucifer featuring Sly Piper, we get a crazy instrumental, best on the album, from Eminem and none other than Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre also mentioned a shit ton here, like all over the place Dre is referenced. M starts off his verse talking about getting kicked off of TikTok and Twitter, which again plays into the idea of him getting canceled, but also the idea that all getting canceled is kicked off of socials, which is kind of stupid. Sly Piper, who I've never heard of before, brings like passionate and soulful chorus to this song. I love it. And we get the classic murderous and violent bars from Slim Shady here as well, mentioning pretty fucking terrible incidents and people like Columbine and Charles Manson, which again is to be expected from Slim. This is where I think, again, he's satirizing a more privileged and wealthy and a group of higher social standing in America when he raps bars like, they say I don't know struggle no more, that's a joke, bitch the fucking elevator in my mansion broke, I have to walk like half a block to get a can of Coke. And again, this is also just like hilarious because it's obviously a satirical bar. Who cares if the elevator in his mansion is broke? He lives in a fucking mansion. We also get another classic Eminem attacking a celebrity, going in on Candace Owens, calling her a race traitor, and saying that she's the leader of the KKK, being super outlandish, attacking a celebrity, also in a pretty comical way. This also shows Shady's abilities to attack both sides, not just, or all sides, I guess, because Candace Owens is the type of person who the people he is satirizing might enjoy to watch her news programming. I think she's a fucking idiot personally. So again, I enjoyed this part. We also get the first mention of the PC police here, which are a recurring character that I think is stupid again. But again, I think this plays into the satire, and I think the exaggeration of being afraid of cancel culture and the PC police, which are brought up a lot on this album, right? I think it plays into the idea that the people who talk about cancel culture the most are the people who are afraid of it. But again, I think the idea of policing of speech is exaggerated by a certain group of people that is being satirized by Shady here, which is why we do see the PC police and stuff like that referenced so often. Next track we're talking about, we got Antichrist. Like Evil and Lucifer, Antichrist is nothing short of an amazing song. It's great, but I think, again, having 3 songs in a row where Eminem is essentially comparing himself to the devil and the worst thing ever in a row, right? I think he's kind of hammering home the point, because at first I was like, this is cringe, this is stupid, Slim Shady is obviously not the Antichrist. But again, I think it's, again, hammering home the idea of like, Slim Shady's stupid. It's corny to have 3 tracks in a row referring to yourself as the devil, and they could be amazing fucking songs, right? Because they are. But again, I think it's trying to hammer home that point of like, it's not that deep. Like, I don't know, like, it's stupid to be like, oh, Slim Shady's really here to get them. Like, that whole mentality, Slim Shady's going to show these snowflakes a lesson. Like, I think it's satirizing that idea when you have 3 songs in a row being like, there's nothing worse than Slim Shady. Slim Shady's the worst thing ever for America. In the beginning of the song, we got Slim running from the PC police. We also get a chorus, which is very like Slim Shady-esque. It's sung by Kiz, and again, I love it. The Marshall, he's the Antichrist. Gets stuck in your head. It's very good. And then we get a slew of shockingly edgy bars. Edgy bars, not edging, that would be bad. No edging bars here, but shockingly edgy bars, talking about people like Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Cosby and other nefarious figures in American culture. which is actually shocking. It's not just Slim attacking a marginalized group of people. It is shocking. And I didn't even catch the Bill Cosby one first. I'm not going to lie, but listen to this wordplay right here. Shady as Bill, taking the pill and putting it in your soft drink. Something's off, and I don't know what the cause be. I don't know what the cause be. Like, this is just, like, I've given Eminem a lot of shit in my life, especially his newer stuff, but he really is a top tier lyricist. The wordplay here is off the charts. I don't really know what the cause be. Again, more shock value here, talking about getting head from a girl that's falling asleep. And honestly, Eminem's deep in his humor bag. Slim Shady is when he's like, "Hello, wake up, you who?" And he's like screaming that. Obviously, it's very fucking inappropriate, edgy, disgusting when you think about it, but it's humorous. You have him referencing the Parkland school shooter when he talks about being trigger happy again, doing everything he can to get canceled. So Antichrist is kind of just about how Slim Shady's coming for everybody, and there is no topic off limits that he won't make fun of in his music. He also had a bar that I thought was funny. Look who's talking, dog, like Brian from Family Guy. Like, this isn't edgy, but, Family Guy reference. And then former Eminem, of course, used to be a part of rap group D12, which is back from Detroit. And then we have rapper Bizarre come in on here and give a pretty gross and disgusting outro where he, of course, talks about things like abortion and Caitlyn Jenner. And I'm tired of hearing about Caitlyn Jenner at this point. But again, that's the point, because Eminem is out here satirizing himself, saying Slim Shady is annoying. But this part was unnecessary, and I could have done without it, in my opinion. It kind of ruined the end of this track, and we'll keep it off of any playlist where I'm going to be listening to this in front of other people. Now we move on to Fuel featuring J.I.D. Seeing these two on the same track together in 2024 is nuts. Arguably, two of the best lyricists, two of the best flows in the current landscape of hip-hop. If you were to say that's your top two, I wouldn't even complain. Honestly, genuinely. Two of the best rappers alive when it comes down to just technical, raw skill. Not talking about discography. Eminem's is too spotty and Jid's is too short. But when we're talking about raw technical ability, it doesn't get much better than these two. Jid hits some great flows, has great bars. Is really flexing nuts on here, showing off his skills, not getting too big into the topical Slim Shady cancellation type of bag, but he's just talking about Jid shit, his come up, flexing up how he's one of the best rappers in the game. Eminem has a great chorus about how he's never going to run out of fuel and he will always be motivated to be the best. He also has bars on the song like, "I'm like a RAPER, got so many SAs." Cancelable offense, some might say, because not really something to joke about, but that's the point, right? It's Slim Shady. And then here again is where I think he's satirizing Slim Shady, because he follows that up with, wait, he didn't just spell the word rapper and leave out the P, did he? Now, this bar partially works, because he then goes to talk about how P. Diddy may have set up Biggie and Tupac, again, getting into controversial topics. And the P. did he, he could have got there elsewhere. But Eminem has been giving so much shit for laughing at his own jokes in his music. I do it all the time. So when he follows that line up with, wait, he didn't just spell the word rapper and leave out the P, did he? Commenting on the own shock value of his own joke. Again, I think it's satire, because he's been shit on for that. I've been hated when he does that. And you don't think Eminem thinks it's corn too? Again, 40 chess. I'm not gonna overuse that phrase because that's Professor Sky's thing. Shout out to him again. But that's what Eminem is doing here. He is literally satirizing himself, his own persona that he made, when he is purposefully being kind of annoying. We also get more edgelord stuff like Kyle Rittenhouse reference, but we also get incredible wordplay and alliteration. I'm going to try to read to you these 6 to 8 bars that he's got on here, but got the most content on the continent, and constant compliments give me confidence across the common sense and incompetence. Incognizant, the conflicts a consequence of accomplishments that conference through competition. If Khan could have conned him into unconsciousness through conscious, I conjure that King Kong and just call me kamikaze. I'm concocting this. That is nuts. Genuinely, that is bananas. That is fucking bananas, guys. What he just did, what he just said, So again, Eminem is one of the best current in-form rappers when he wants to be. There's proof of that. I'm gonna do a Actually, first, Eminem ate Jid on this song. I'm sorry, I love Jid. I'm the biggest Jid fan, and I'm not a big Eminem fan, but M ripped this to shreds. To shreds. But quick sidebar, because I was just talking about how Eminem, I think he's purposefully being annoying at points on this album. Like when he references Caitlyn Jenner so much and Christopher Reeve so much. I think it's to, again, kind of be like, hey, Slim Shady's stupid and kind of annoying. Right? And here's my big conflict with this album, because conceptually, I would go as far to say as this is genius. But does purposefully making your music annoying and unlistenable at points justify the concept? Here's what I've come to, because I've been grappling with this for weeks. Yes, it does justify it, but it doesn't deny the fact that it takes away from the musical quality of the album. The conceptual quality is there, but the musical quality itself suffers at points because of the concept Eminem is trying to execute. And I'm sure he knew that going into it, but I don't think this is a 10 out of 10 just because it's conceptually immaculate. There's flaws musically because of that. Then we move on to Road Rage featuring Sly Piper and Dem Joints. This is right away a return to the controversial Slim Shady, because the last song wasn't as bad. There was a lot. Actually, that's not true. I was literally just talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. But I mean, this goes back into attacking transgender people. That's what I just should have said from the start. Sly Piper killed it on the last chorus. Did not kill it here. Bad. And not only do we get a transphobic rant on this track, pretty much we get a fatphobic one as well. And it's just like weird to listen to. Like, this is what I'm talking about with the quality. When am I going to listen to this? And it's like, yeah, there's like some funny bars and like, but man, like for a whole verse, you're just going to like torment people. Mid-song, we get a skit where Slim Shady talks about dying, there being him and Eminem's hair blonde again. Again, going back to the whole satire idea, we do get the issue of taking this song out of the context of the album doesn't really come across as satire. Like straight up, the vocal effects aren't where they need to be, and Eminem sounds really fucking passionate about some of this stuff. So maybe he does feel this type of way. I still believe he's being satirical, but I think it does beg the question, like with South Park sometimes, where you have people who enjoy it just because it's like making fun of poor people or like people of color, and isn't satirizing that that's how people act. Where you have Marshall sounding pretty serious on here about thinking it's too hard to memorize a person's pronouns. People are going to take that home from this album, resonate with it, and be like, you know what, he's right, this is ridiculous. When I don't think that's the message he's trying to send. He's trying to send that train of thought is stupid. But because the line in the sand is so thin, the gray area is huge, because a lot of this is also speculation, pulling from certain bars here and there. I mean, I think personally, obviously, I think I'm like pretty right. I think I'm doing pretty good with this, but that's me. Again, let me know in the comments. We also get a terrible beat switch to like a super bouncy club beat at the end where who even cares at this point? Like, Road Rage is a bad song. This really took it out of me for the album. Then we move on to the first single, Houdini, which I honestly, unabashedly, slightly shamefully love. The sample does it for me. The nostalgia beat does it for me. Where Eminem is clearly in his like, I'm Slim Shady bag. The chorus, Eminem's chorus here is so catchy. We get overly raunchy bars like if I was to ask Megan Thee Stallion if I could have a shot at the feet. But again, it's to affirm the return of Slim Shady and that he's here being an ass. We also go back to the participation trophy bar where again, I think here Em is making fun of people hating on participation trophies. I don't think he's actually personally hating on them too much. And again, I think that's clear again with bars like, my transgender cat Siamese identifies black but acts Chinese. But again, this is just a ridiculous satirization of where we are. Then we got the breaking news skit where, and this is just like a news bit where Eminem is trying to get, or Eminem's being canceled, Slim Shady's canceled. And that's the whole skit. Cancel, PC police. Again, reaffirming the point that cancellation is kind of stupid. And what I realized when listening to the skit is like, he's purposefully dragging it. He's dragging it because it is stupid and it is annoying, not because he's actually afraid of being canceled. He is dragging being canceled worse than the fucking low taper fade, guys. I mean, he's purposefully dragging it, which doesn't make it any less annoying, but it does serve a narrative, thematic, conceptual purpose. Guilty Conscious 2 is the climax of this album. This is, I don't know how to feel about the breakdown of this album. If you want to ask me, this is the end of the death of Slim Shady. And the next several tracks we'll talk about after is kind of just Eminem in 2024, outside of the conceptual bag. But maybe I'm wrong. Shout out to my boss, Chase. He was telling me a theory that this album is meant to be listened from back to front, and it starts off with Eminem dying, and then Slim Shady, or Eminem being killed by Slim Shady, and Slim Shady comes and gets him canceled. And it honestly could go that way regardless. Like, I haven't listened to it backwards yet, but quite possibly that's what he's going for. It would honestly make a lot of sense why Houdini is the song that follows Guilty Conscious 2, because Houdini is like the perfect Slim Shady in 2024 song. But it wouldn't explain why at the front of the album we have Eminem then. But yeah, regardless, it's up for interpretation. Like I say all the time, this is just my perspective, my interpretation, my analyzation. But anyways, the climax, Guilty Conscience 2. This is where M and Slim face the fuck off. The climactic instrumental gives you final boss fight feelings from the get-go. I'm just going to take you through a couple of M and Slim back and forth throughout here. Eminem raps, "You want to judge people. Matter of fact, ain't you the same one who hated bullies calling you bad names? Then you turned around and did the exact same, just immature, and literally you're still mentally 13. Again, I think this is proof of satire where Eminem is admitting that Slim Shady is immature and admitting that in the past he was a hypocrite because of how much he used to hate being bullied and then did it. And Slim raps, "Yeah, but you're me." We also get bars like where M says, "You rip on paraplegics, man, seriously?" Slim says, "Oh, bitch, it's a joke." M says, "No, it's not. It's embarrassing," which is Eminem condemning his past actions again, admitting that they were embarrassing, immature, stupid, and it is why he's satirizing them as annoying now. We also got, right here on my notes, it says Genius Alert. I don't know if you guys could read that, because this took a couple listens for me to get, but on the track Habits, which is like the second song, right, the one with White Gold, we're going back to the beginning, Slim Shady says, "You know how I roll, bitch, I'm an avalanche," and it is one of the first, if not the first bar that Slim Shady raps. Eminem raps here on Guilty Conscience 2, "Cause like an avalanche, I'd still win by a landslide." And when that clicked with me that he compared himself to an avalanche, and Slim used it to compare himself to why he's doing so good, but M used it to compare himself to why he's gonna kill Slim, that is genuinely genius. Like, I thought that was, oh my god, icing on the cake. That is the bow. That is beautiful. M kills Slim Shady at the end of the song, and he says he's doing it for all of his past beefs with various rappers that were mentioned, as well as with his mom, who is mentioned several times throughout this album and called a slut by Slim Shady several times. So if all that beef is squashed in real life, good for him, but I think it's more of an admittance that Eminem used to be immature. Then at the end of the song, we get a skit where where Eminem calls Paul Rosenberg, waking up in the middle of the night, hyperventilating, being like, "Oh, Paul, I had a crazy dream. Oh, there was PC police and Caitlyn Jenner and all this," and he's like, "Oh, well, like, so this whole thing was a dream?" Like, and that's up for interpretation. I don't really care. Obviously, this didn't happen in real life. It's conceptual. It really depends on how you want it to end in your head. Whatever. Also, I did a nice little count for the Christopher Reeves and Caitlyn Jenner, who were dragged a lot through this album. Again, I think this was purposeful to satirize the idea that Slim Shady could be annoying and over-target the same people, with 12 Christopher Reeves name drops, plus a whole song against him, and 8 Caitlyn Jenner name drops, including when she dead names her, referring to him as Bruce Jenner. So again, I think this was done purposely and for the concept. Doesn't change the fact that it's kind of annoying, though. So, is the album over? Guilty Conscious 2 is the death of Slim Shady, which makes the rest of the album kind of less important and less interesting, though I don't know if I would consider the rest of the album a disc 2 situation, a victory lap situation, or a credits roll type of situation, but regardless, it is just a Slim Shady-less Eminem music in 2024 to end the album, but I do personally believe it is kind of separate from the album we've got so far. And a lot of these songs aren't good, so I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. One of them is really fucking good, but anyways, Head Honcho with Easy Mill, signed to Shady Records. He speaks, English, he speaks Spanish in his raps. He's a good lyricist. He's pretty entertaining. He gives a good chorus, but overall, again, the song isn't anything crazy. And M's kind of just back in his bag, rapping about being the best rapper alive, rapping about being post Slim Shady, rapping about his life post Slim Shady. He also has great bars like "You'll still be a stand till I die though." Stand till I die though. Then we get Temporary with Skylar Grey, which this song is confusing because the Skylar Grey chorus is a bit much. The instrumental is very dramatic, very personal. I love how throughout this track we get audio clips of Eminem's daughter Haley as a kid, because this song essentially, like another song will, explores the idea, or it doesn't explore the idea. This song is essentially Eminem writing beyond the grave. He is writing to his daughter Haley post his death. Now obviously he did not die yet. Eminem is still alive, and I hope he is for a long time, right? But he's kind of just here, and the whole idea of the song is don't dwell on it too much. You're strong, and like Skylar Grey says, your heart won't break forever. So this is obviously a very personal song where Em is getting into it about his relationship with his daughter and how proud he is of her and how much he loves her and all this stuff and how he'll always be her rock. He also talks about not wanting Haley to get caught up in the grieving process when he does eventually pass, because again, hearts will break forever. Eminem is 50 at this point, which I don't think that means he's going to die anytime soon. He seems to be in very good health. I think this is, again, just to kind of toil with the idea. He talked a lot about death because of the death of Slim Shady. I think he probably just was inspired and felt an emotional need to write this, and it's a pretty great and personal song. Then we move on to Bad One, and Bad One should be called the fucking worst one, guys, because this song sucks. This song sucks. White Gold is here again with the chorus where he's just like, I went platinum, I went diamond, now I'm going gold on your bitch. I don't even know if that's what he says, but it's a corny, it's a trap beat, and whew. Alright guys, you ready for the corny Eminem lyrics? I didn't bring up a lot of corny ones, but let's get right into it. I feel as incredible as the Hulk, meaning I'm trying to smash. Won't be talking about Purell when Santa ties your hands. Your mouth is a hole. That means my dick is engulfed. And, it's really just weird to hear bars like this after this extremely passionate letter to his oldest daughter that he writes in the previous track. Now he's talking about fucking girls, dude. Now he's just talking about having sex. And it's like, where's the consistency? Yeah, this is bad. The only important stuff we get from this track is Eminem talking about how he uses Shady as a scapegoat. Toby, I've already talked about on my podcast, The Talking Hip Hop Show, episode 1. Be sure to go check it out if you're interested. Not a fan of this song. I'm still not. I don't like the Babytron hook. It's honestly garbage. Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider, but me, I got bit by a goat. It's like a fucking nursery rhyme. I don't like it. He is a fine verse. Big Sean has a pretty great verse. I'm really excited for new music from him. Eminem also has a pretty great verse, proclaiming himself as the best. No one's better than Eminem. And this instrumental is honestly overblown. It feels super climactic, but it doesn't build to anything. And I could understand why people may like this song. Me personally, no thank you. We get the Guess Who's Back Slim, which is clearly the Guess Who's Back skit, which is clearly a reference to the Slim Shady LP and a character he used to do on there. I'm not too familiar. I didn't bother to verse myself because I don't like this skit one bit. It's annoying. It's bad. It's gross. And it's annoying. It's like a minute long. I don't need this, guys. Now we get on to the last track, Somebody Save Me, which the first time I heard it genuinely almost brought me to tears, because this, we have Slim, who samples Jelly Roll, who has a great chorus on this song. Shout out to him. I've never really listened to Jelly Roll. But anyway, here we got Slim Shady, not Slim Shady, we have Eminem rapping about, from the perspective of what if Slim Shady never stopped, essentially. What if Eminem never stopped being a drug addict and never sobered up, and he passed away from he overdosed, he died as a result of his drug addiction, and he wasn't able to be there for his daughter Haley. And he talks about all these moments he would have missed over this super emotional and powerful beat. He talks about all these people he might have never met or never created, these moments he never would have been a part of, and it hits you. It really hits you, and it's super fitting considering we get the album, which is mostly about Slim Shady, right? So it's just like, and again, to some people, this is the glorification of Slim Shady. He's back in 2024, guys. Don't mess with Slim Shady. But this is the alternate ending to Eminem's life, where if Slim Shady really was that guy, and he was always Slim Shady, this is the reality he thinks he would be facing, which upon that realization, it makes the album even more gripping. He talks about being lowered into his casket and all this terrible stuff because it's, again, really, it tugs at the string of your horse. This is a personal track. But yeah, like I said, it is the official death of Slim Shady's the self-destructive, raunchy, inappropriate, crude alter ego, and he's talking about what would have happened if that man was him up to this point. He wouldn't be alive, quite simply. But yeah, on the conclusion, it's a great album at points. Slim, Eminem, one of the best rappers in the game. You have amazing lyricism throughout here. You have inappropriate lyricism throughout here. You have great singing at points. You have mid features for the most part, but you do have Jid on here. You have great instrumentals at points. Others are boring. The end is a little inconsistent, and I don't understand. But when M is really executing his concept here, yes, it gets annoying at point, and it does knock it down. But the concept itself is great. The music itself is also pretty damn great. I'm feeling, for personal enjoyment, 3 fingers, guys, out of 5. And for a little score, I'm not doing decimals anymore, but this is like a 7. I really fuck with this album. I'm not gonna lie. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Again, the concept is a little overblown, but there's also some of Eminem's best songs ever here, like Devil, Antichrist, Evil. That 3-track run is nuts. But yeah, like I said, let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that shit. Check me out on the podcast. Check me out on the IG. And yeah, I was really excited to talk about this album with you guys. Great to have you here. And I will see you in the next one. Go bananas. Go apeshit. Go check this album out. Peace.